Big wins for Zach Chelli and Brad Ray, alongside Jack Rafferty firmly putting his name in the welterweight mix. It was a great undercard as well as a great main event at the Cobb Live on Saturday night. Hello everybody and welcome back to Full House Sports here, myself Charlie. A reminder before the video starts to please like, comment and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated as I try and become a one-man sports news bandwagon. Yes, Saturday night was of course Dubois Woodley. As I've already said on the channel, I've done my review of that fight and of course I was lucky enough to be there as well. And I made sure to get in early doors because I wanted to see the undercard because there was some interesting international names as well as some solid British talent on it. I mean, start off with Jalalov. What can be said that hasn't already been said? Really disappointed. I mean, I'm not going to lie, perhaps I'm guilty of it as well as other boxing fans, of looking at his achievements in the amateurs and going, oh, brilliant, he'll be fantastic, and not actually taking the time to look at his pros achievements and go, oh, he's nearly been stopped before by journeymen. He just looks really unmotivated, and I think someone said it, or I read, the issue is now is you're probably going to have to get him in a fight and just cash out now, which isn't great, but his career's stalling, to say the least. And bear in mind, apparently, Smakichi, the Croatian guy he fought, hadn't actually had any sparring, apparently, before this. He's literally just jumped in the ring. Yeah, it was pretty uneventful. I think Jalalov, he's going to be one of them what could have beens. But he's got 2 Olympic goals. He's an Uzbek national hero. It is what it is. I don't think he's going to lose any sleep over it. Then we went on to the Khalil Majid-Gavin Gwynn fight. Great win for Gavin Gwynn. Majid, he will come again. He's, 26? I think he just got old manned a little bit in there. I thought the worst thing he could have done was what he did when he stood toe-to-toe with Gwynn and tried to make the fight in a phone box. It was never going to work against Gavin Gwynn. Despite the fact he was coming up in weight, Gwynn, it just wasn't going to work. And I think, like I say, I thought it was a good decision. Puts Gwynn again in that domestic welterweight mix where there's some good fights out there for him if he wants them. Of course, there's Pierce O'Leary there. There's Mark Chamberlain. There's those guys around that weight class if he can get himself there. So get to the light heavyweights. We'll do them back to back because I think there's a few takeaways from that. David Morrell, that's a shocker, really, a real shocker. I can't quite fathom what's happened. Whether because he was huge at super middleweight, but since he's come up, he's not looked great. I mean, the Benavidez fight was actually a very good fight. But, of course, he lost that one. And then he's fought against Kalazic. He wasn't amazing in that fight. The Kataev fight, I thought, was 50-50. Could have gone either way. And then, as much as he looked good in the first round, to say he looked good would actually be a lie. He was in control, let's say. You never thought, oh, he's completely outclassing Chelli here. Chelli needs to be careful about how much punishment they let him take. Like, there was never that question. He just stood and was trying to be almost cruise to 10 rounds, but there was nothing really to blow you away. And then Chelli lands, and the first was the 9th, and you could tell he was in trouble, Morrell, and his legs never looked steady at the start of the 10th, and I think he was a sitting duck. And it's a fantastic win for Zach Chelli, a guy who it feels like he's older than he is. I think I saw he's 28. He's been around for a fair while. He's had some big wins. He's also had some, obviously, I remember him losing to Callum Simpson at Oakwell, didn't he? He's come up to light heavy. He's took that fight. Listen, you got to applaud him as well. He's took that fight and on the basis of not much notice, he took it against Morrell and he didn't have to. And he's got himself a win and potentially a changing win because now his name's going to get thrown out in the mix. We're going to talk about who fought in a minute. As for Morrell, real back to drawing board. I mean, what would Callum Smith, I won't say Callum Simpson there, what would Callum Smith have done to him? I think he'd have probably stopped him early. I mean, we don't know whether as well he's peaked too early with a camp. We've seen that happen before, haven't we? Where fighters go into camp, they don't fight, then they fight a couple of weeks later and lose because they should never have took the fight. And we've seen that as one of the oldest written things in combat sports. Should he have just not took the fight? After that, of course, then Bradley Ray stops Liam Cameron. Now, Bradley Ray, he is powerful. You look at what he did to Lyndon Arthur back in the last year for his European title. Yes, Arthur won, but he dropped Arthur. He had Arthur in all sorts of trouble in that fight. He had Liam Cameron in even more trouble, hence the reason it was stopped. I think both those guys, Ray and Chelli, listen, I spoke again on time again on the channel. The light heavyweight mix in Britain is fantastic. The name that immediately sprang to my mind for both, Ben Whittaker. That's who Ben Whittaker should be fighting. They're known. Brad Ray sells tickets in Manchester. Not saying you could do the Cup live, but you could do an arena with it. Could you try the AO? I don't know what the capacity difference is. I'm just saying, could you do that? Ray versus Whittaker? I mean, listen, they always say, oh, he's a star in the UK, Ben Whittaker. There's your challenge. That's a huge fight if you get that. Or Zach Chelli. I mean, some call out Canelo and David Benavidez afterwards. I think Chelli does take a high ranking now, though, which is fantastic for him. Be interesting to see where they go next with him and who he could potentially face off against. Again, Buatsi as a fight out there. Could one of them face him now? I say they're all options out there. It's a fantastic mix. And then Jack Rafferty's win. Now, all the talk afterwards, I couldn't, I'll be honest, the acoustic arena, I couldn't really hear what Dev Sani was saying. So if he's raised this already, my apologies. But I thought the fight that would really make sense is Jack Catterall. Both in the Northwest. It's a bit of a derby if they take each other on. I think that would do numbers. Rafferty's got a bit of a following. Catterall's got a bit of a following. Both up at welterweight. If Catterall can beat Gyasov, I mean, even if he doesn't, but if he could beat Gyasov, it's then for that WBA regular title. That is a big if. But I thought that instantly. Northwest Derby, get that on. Sells out. Bit of a throwback. I say there's been those sorts of fights before. Like, say, John Murray, Anthony Croller almost is the one that springs to mind. I remember that being a fight a few years ago in Manchester. Yeah, get that. That was one to me that just sprung out straight away and I thought made sense. But it was a good stoppage. Coessa, man, he's had a very good career. Of course, he had that Josh Taylor win. I think time to hang him up now. Don't keep going because that could do him some potential life altering damage. But I say I think get those some great fighters on the card. It was a fantastic card. Some shocks as well. And yeah, but again, boxing unpredictable as ever. As always, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. The Try Become a One Man Sports News bandwagon. As always, have a great day.